Hello. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, guys.
The sound is echoing.
No, sir.
Is it echoing?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So to whom it is echoing, they can listen twice. Who is not listening, they can listen once. Good morning again. I'm starting lectures on genetics series. Of course, I will be doing next time histology, but I will be starting with genetics. Few points which has been added up by MCI for our curriculum. So I will starting with the introduction to genetics and application of genetics. I know you guys are very well versed about genetics. You know about all Mendelian law, then you know Punnett square and how it is applied, and you are much better than me. I know that. What I want to emphasize, because the future of medical practice will depend on your application and knowledge of genetics. So I'm going to go and talk about something about the genetics which is applicable to human life. So I'm going to give today the glimpses of this. So one thing is very clear. What is genetics? The name is heredity. The process of transmission of characteristic from one generation to next generation is called inheritance or legacy. That is what we call it as genetics. It is a study. What it scientifically means is a study of genes, and what is more important is their statistical laws, like we talk about Mendelian laws that governs the passage of genes from one generation to the next. Like we say autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, we talk about non-Mendelian inheritance. Now in today we are talking about the also talking about the multi-inherited genetics. Why we talk about multi-inherited genetics? Reason behind this multi-inherited genetics is that basically our chronic diseases are related with genes. Like we talk about the mammary gland carcinoma, like we talk about diabetes, like we talk about the hypertension, a variety of chronic disease, Alzheimer's. We will talk about the multi-genetic issue. Like in future, I'm going to talk about when we talk about hair follicle, the color of the hair follicle and formation of hair follicle depends on almost 46 genes. So it is a huge thing. So it plays a multi-genetic role. So we are going to touch about that. What are the studies? What we go do in that? Genetics is a branch of biology. It is comparatively newer also. It is older also because we are uh, always we like to know why we are variable. So we want to study the heredity and variation in us. Discipline involves the study of cells, individuals, their offsprings, and most important part of the genetics is called population genetics. I want to because when you start practice, you will get variety of the patient. You know that we are multi-ethnic society, so you have to judge. Okay, this patient is coming from particular type of the ethnicity, so probably they may have inheriting certain type of genes or certain like I say pulses. I have more of chances of getting CMLs, chronic myeloid.
You're not audible.
अवसाद को और तनाव को दूर किया जा सकता है अगर आप अपने घर के लिविंग एरिया को ठीक रखते हैं तो आपके घर से जो डिप्रेशन है जो तनाव है जो टेंशन है वो निश्चित
Few you have done in very great detail, that is chromosome, DNA, RNA structures. We talk about the cell. Why to study cell and cell cycle? Any idea? We study cell and cell cycle most important for whenever we talk about the cancer genetics. Whenever we talk about the cancer genetics, that is what we have to remember. Chromosomes we study whenever we talk about the DNA and all this. So gene, what is gene? My definition of gene is something called it as the a meaningful sentence of a life is a gene. Whenever something goes wrong between the gene, like a codons are misplaced, we say frame shift, or there is single, like in the sickle cell anemia, single nucleotide is missing and another is replacing it. That is what. So what happens? The meaning of that sentence is lost. And because the meaning of the sentence is lost, we are losing the useful protein. That's why we call it as a that is a gene. Then you have studied in great detail about mitosis and meiosis. We are not going to go in detail about that. Now we'll go ahead. These are the few terms which we have to understand. Genotype means the actual genetic constitution of that person. Remember, in each cell of my body, the genes are number of chromosomes and genes are the same. Where the genes are present? Genes are present as a sequence on the surface of DNA. A supercoiled DNA, we call the supercoiled DNA, we call it as a chromosome. So the chromosome contains the DNA and a DNA contains the gene. So this is so every cell of the our body has all types of genes, but whenever we talk about particular tissue, particular type of genes are expressing that particular. Rest of the genes are getting inhibited. Even when I express, because we always say every gene has alleles. Alleles means two genes because there are two pairs of chromosomes. We call 23 pairs. One is coming from mother, one is coming from father. Then we talk in Mendelian genetics. What we talk about in Mendelian genetics? We talk about in Mendelian genetics that one of them may be dominant, one of them may be recessive, and they express. So what is phenotype? Phenotype is expression of the trait. So all the genes are there, but phenotype is liver cell will having a particular phenotype. The stomach cells may have a particular the expression of particular. Even when I look more like my mother or I might look more like my grandfather. Why this happens? Because phenotypical expressions. Another thing is that phenotypical expressions are also dependent on external environmental factors. And we study of this external environmental factor on our genotype, where there is expression of the genes, particularly like we say our same siblings or our own cousins who are grown up in European countries or United States or something like that, they may be a bit more taller, they may be a bit more fair because of the effect of the environment on them. Like if it are more a temperate climate, we will be slightly conserving more energy, we will be slightly shorter, we will be darker skin. But we all have somewhere sharing the same genotype. Phenotypically, we may be different. So the branch which deals with the effect of the environment on the phenotypical expression of the genes is called epigenetics. It is called epigenetics. A very big branch. A lot of studies are there. A lot of effect is there on human. Like we say that pregnancy is during the a good season, especially in African country where the food grains are scarce during the drought season. So the babies who are born to the mother in a season where the ample amount of food is there, they may not suffer a chronic diseases, phenotypical expression, than the kids who were the mothers were pregnant during the famines, and those kids during the famines may suffer from the long standing diseases. That is what we call as epigenetics. That is what we talk about. So genotype is every gene present, phenotype which is expressed. This may be governed by genotype as well as like a Mendelian laws or by the environmental factor. That is what you have to understand. Second thing, in human chromosome, there are 46 chromosomes. Why there is a need for meiosis? Because it becomes haploid. It becomes the haploid thing. Now I will just discuss in short about the cell cycle. Why we talk about the cell cycle? The cell cycle, first, this is a mitosis or division phase or meiosis. Then the cell goes
You're
in,
not audible.
okay. Now, is it audible? Is it audible?
Sir, you are audible.
So mitosis and division of the cells which are occurring. Once they occur in cell cycle, there is a big phase we call as interphase. You are very well versed about that, I know. It is divided into G1 phase, S phase, larger phase, and the G2 phase, and again it goes into. So now there is some black dots are shown here. What are these black dots? Basically, why this is divided? One G1 phase is restoration phase where the cell grows, goes back to its normal size. Some of these cells will inhibit permanently the division process. The sister chromatins will not be formed. So what will happen? They will go into the G0 phase. Like neuron, like a skeletal muscle cells, like a liver cell, hepatocyte, they usually go to G0 phase. Liver has a unique feature. Whenever it is required, it can come back to G1 phase. But usually they go to G0 phase. Usually the specialized cells usually go into the G0 phase. There's a disadvantage, they cannot regrow. But G1 phase, if in normal process, once it is completed, now it goes into formation of duplication of DNA, chromosome duplication. That is what we call sister chromatids are formed. And that here there is some gatekeeper genes which will allow either to go into S phase or remain back into the same phase. This is like something as gatekeepers. And now when it comes into the S phase, it divides. But what happens? There are so many different nucleotides, almost millions of nucleotides are there. So there can be some mistakes. So in synthesis phase, there is a division of chromosome, but there can be some mistakes. So that has been identified and that has been repaired. And that repair is done. So the G in the G2 phase, repair of the mistakes done in the chromosome. Remember, approximately during the division of the DNA, or the chromosome, per year almost 10,000 mistakes occurs. But those 10,000 mistakes has been taken care at G2 phase. The 10,000 mistakes. So that's why we don't get abnormal cells or we don't get abnormal synthesis of proteins. So that has been taken care here in G2 phase. There is one of the important gene which plays a role here is called P53 gene. It is also called as the P53 gene, which plays an important role. It is also called master of genome. It is also called as a master of genome. What it does, if the DNA gets repaired, it goes further. If DNA is unable to get repaired, the cell goes in the process of apoptosis, programmed cell death. So this is well defined. What happens in this area, if these genes which are keeping them in position or keeping them repaired, so G2 phase is also called as a repair phase. What happens that those cells, if they are these genes unable to correct them, they may land up into cancer cells. They may land up into uncontrolled cell growth. They may land up into the uncontrolled cell growth. That's why cell cycle plays an important role at various places. This is a detailed, long, big branch called as a cancer genetics. That is just I want to emphasize on that. So you are going to deal it with very much because once you know what is going wrong and why the cells are proliferating in particular type of cancer, you may think of particular drugs to be utilized, how it can be working, and all those things. So briefly going into the genetic history, I'm not going in detail about that. We know that this is a very figure which we always think and always thought about that Gregor Mendel, and he, despite doesn't know about the structure of DNA gene, just because what I want to emphasize, just his methodical way of researching that should be inculcated in every medical faculty also is that that makes you to think and to come to the diagnosis even though you don't know the structure, and that is what is most important. Still today we apply the Mendel's law and many other things, and then the various discoveries are there. Term genetics was proposed by Beston and all those things in 1996. Just before that, Mendel has given the laws of genetics. A lot of things are there. Then another figure we are talking about Watson and Crick, which has made a big thing. That's talked about the Watson Crick DNA model, and see in long away, that is 1956, we came to know 46 chromosomes in man. There was a lot of thought process, a lot of things were there. And this is 46 chromosomes was done by Tijo and Levin in 1956, what first different, and 1959, first time we talked about the chromosomal anatomy. And hence onward, a lot of genetic discoveries, and we are reaching to the big thing from 1988, the idea that can we sequence all the genes in our body. That is why how the idea of human genome project started. Lot of discoveries in this, lot of discoveries. But with this, we were able to come to the what you call as a new branch, human genome branches and variety of branches, a new thought process. Human Genome Project had jolted up variety. What is good for doctors in Human Genome Project? We just don't want to know the diseases, but we want to know either to cure it or either how I can make my life more longer by just controlling certain things. That is what we call lifestyle modification. So that is what can be done, and that has been done because of Human Genome. Human Genome Project, another thing most important has done, it has completed much earlier, but apart from that, it has done a big thing, that new technologies where I can sequence my DNA. That is what we call DNA chips, or that is what we call sequencing of DNA. That has been, then we were able to see, even though we are the same humans with having a hardly 0.01% difference among ourselves, still we were able to get the variations. Like in chimps and us, between the chimps and us, there's only 0.1% difference in our chromosome or DNA. Still, this is a huge difference, and that is what we started seeing. So various new branches has been developed here. One second thing, traditionally it is said one gene is equal to one protein, and that concept has completely changed because of Human Genome Project. And now we are landing up with various different techniques so that we can come to. So we'll be just discussing about few topics and few projects about that. So before that, as a medical student, what are the different branches of genetics? First and most important branch we started developing, that is called cytogenetics. Word has to get cleared up. Cytogenetics, it deals with the structure of chromosomes. So whatever you see, the classical structures of DNA, the structure of chromosome, that is what we see, the two P arms, two Q arms, and all those things, and 23 pair and all those things. Second thing, what we do, we stain it. We call it a GIMSTA stain. We call it as a GIMSTA stain. And what we do, we get a particular type of bands. And if I get a difference in bands or missing of the band or the size of the chromosome and the branch which deals with the structure of chromosome, the banding pattern of chromosome, and the what you call any missing thing like a chromosomal number, that is aberration, that is numerical aberration or structural aberration. These things are dealt with cytogeneticians or cytogenetics. There are labs what we call cytogenetic lab, where what we do there, usually we do there in cytogenetic lab, karyotyping, fish technique. Fish, what is the long form of fish? Fish is FISH. Fish is fluorescence in situ hybridization. Fluorescence in situ hybridization technique. What we do here, particular, like chromosome 21 has particular sequence of genes. So I can have a primer or the set of nucleotides which is been tagged with the sequence of nucleotide which is tagged with the new radioactive substance, and that will only get tagged with a particular type of chromosome. So if I want to see the chromosome 21 in the Down syndrome, I can have that tag, I can put in the petri dish and I proliferate that. Once I proliferate that, what happens? I proliferate that, only the chromosome 21 will show three dots in the Down syndrome. Actually, it should be only two dots. It will show the three dots. That indicates that there is the surely this is faster technique than karyotyping. So it is done usually in the lab as fluorescence in situ hybridization. It is a part of cytogenetics. When I want to study the functioning of gene, nature of gene, chemical nature of the gene, and how it expresses, and that is a branch what we call it as a molecular genetics. And molecular genetics deals with the certain diseases where we find how much is been repaired or how much what we call as a, usually molecular genetics is more related with the branch like we call as metabolic disorders. And another branch which is closely related with the molecular genetics is called biochemical genetics. What is importance here? Biochemical genetics is a sub branch of molecular genetics where we are not directly conducting the test on the genes. Rather, we get the biomarkers. Biomarkers means certain types of chemicals are more in the blood or in a particular tissue because the genes are not working properly. And that is what I get. It's like abnormal hemoglobin. So can I do the test for abnormal? For sickle cell anemia, I don't always go for the molecular genetics. I'll say, okay, I will just make the cells to go slightly, what I call it as uh, biochemical. In the biochemical genetics, I do the test like phenylketonuria. I don't go for the molecular genetics. I go only for the biochemical markers, or like in the newborn errors of metabolism. We do the most of these are biochemical. They are cheaper faster and we get a result. And another branch of the genetics is called cancer genetics, where we study the cell cycle, checkpoints, because cancer genetics has changed a lot. Cancer genetics, like previously, we used to give anti-cancer drugs without knowing its genetic makeup. A particular type of genetic cancer may have involved like a scoliosis or tumors of the spine or tumors of the bone. We know now that there are chromosomes, some present on 14 chromosome, present on 16. What we do, we are able to identify particular type of patient may have the same type of cancer, but we divide it, labeled 14. So here the mutation is on chromosome 14, not on chromosome 16. The drug required will be different. And if it is 16, the drug will be required different. Their prognosis, their life expectancy will be different. So we'll be able to deal with the patient more clearly. We'll be able to tell them that, okay, this is what the situation is there. And why we want to choose the drugs? Because if I give all the drugs, anti-cancer drug to the same patient, there will be much more side effects. Patient will not die of the cancer. Patient will die because of extra use of the drug. So that is what is the cancer genetic. So cancer geneticians a lot of demand in the market now in today's world. Then we talk about this is a branch. Why we talk about immunogenetics? Did you have any time a question that how it is possible that our immune system can recognize and produce the antibodies against a particular type of organism? Like we talk about today, coronavirus or COVID-19. What we are thinking, if the first patient gets this infection, we get different types of antibodies in that patient, which we are transferring as in this one. So we think that how it is possible because there are a set of different genes present on chromosome 6, 4, 6, 14, 16 and 18 and their combination and how it defines because there are certain, it has been said, this if you have seen some post a few days back, it has been said that a nation, especially in Indians, at certain places, the death rate is much less. It has been said that their immunogenetics is much better than the others. There's a particular type of a gene which is expressed in this immunogenetical this one, which prevents that person to get. Another best example is that certain communities in the Africa which are HIV resistant. And here comes the role of immunogenetics. So this is another branch which can be explored of. Another branch which deals and very dear to anatomists, that is developmental genetics. I think Madam may be talking about the PAX genes, Hobbs genes, WNT genes, and all those things. That is a branch which deals with the developmental genetics. Here we study the development of the immune, develop how there's expression of genes, how they communicate with each other. We talk about a lot of about transducers and BMPs and all those things. All these things has been studied in development. Developmental genetics is still in a very much in embryonic state, but it plays an important role when we talk about various types of diseases, various type of congenital anomaly. That is called as developmental genetics. With all these different branches, what we have to do, another thing, behavioral genetics. Do you think this it affects behavioral genetics? Yes, we talk about criminology. In criminology, we also talk about the behavioral genetics. And all these different branches will require how this goes in the population, how it works in different types of population. And that is what we call as the population genetics. It is much of the branch of the community medicine, deals with lot of statistics and all this thing. That is what we call as the, and there are certain laws which we talk about that is called population genetics. Okay. So this is what we talk about different types of branches. very seriously about this thing because may be we may be getting different type of viruses. Or maybe it is a biological warfare, or maybe it is that uh, viruses and bacteria are more clever in their genetic makeup than us. So we have to think about that. That's why there was so much discoveries and so many things. Where I'm going to deal with what are different people and what are different projects which is going all over the world in just few minutes of time. Just names of them, and then you can read about that. I have put time for that. So this is how what because ways of studying human genome. This is what today that is what we talk about. Yes, definitely you are very well versed with the human genome project. I will just give some silent picture of this. It was thought when the project was started that human genome project will have around proteins what we have around 1.25 to 1.5 lakh proteins in our body. So probably there must be 1.25 to 1.5 lakh genes. But a big jolt in the human genome project. There are only 25,000 to 30,000 genes. So altogether, it was a big shock. It was, I think, I can call it as a big shock to the scientific community that how it is possible that such a less amount of gene can produce so many different types of proteins, and that is how the repository of the gene information is what we call the genome banks. With that, how they express, where they express, what it happens, and why a particular thing is expressed. Especially this happens as we know that many times we have question that the proteins are formed on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum. But what is said later on, they are not released in cytoplasm. They are taken up by the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and then we usually say they are processed in the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And the process, what happens? Some longer proteins get cleaves, smaller proteins. Some smaller proteins rejoins back, or there will be a two small proteins which joins back. So this is how the number of protein increases, and the branch which deals with how these proteins are formed is called proteomics. There's a new branch called as a proteomics. And then the question came when this everything happens, how they affect on our metabolism, how they affect on a particular type of metabolism, and that is what we call as metanomics. So see, Human Genome Project has new three branches. One where we start seeing that number of genes are less, but we are different. So what happens there? One. Second thing is that it is variation. Second thing is that what is proteomics, how the proteins are formed. Third branch has developed what is metanomics. And then nowadays we talk about drugs. We know that a particular type of person produces a particular type of protein more than compared to other. So the drugs may differ. So the new branch came up in the then the most important thing came in the existence is called variations. We look different. We are not same like clones of each other. Even in the same family, we may be different. We our characteristics may be different. Our GITs may differ. Or what is I see that everybody will not get acidity because of particular type of food, but then this is what happens. Or the painkiller, everybody doesn't suit the particular type of painkiller. So that's why a branch started called as HepMap branch, or it is called SNPs. SNP stands for single nucleotide polymerization. Pleomorphism. Sorry, single nucleotide pleomorphism. That is SNP. It is a 0.01% difference between the two person, and that makes it like in India. We talk about a different sets of people, which is like the South India. There are particular people who has a very different type of genetic expression than the North India. We talk about Aryan race, we talk about the Mongolian race coming in India. India is a big mess out of this one, and India is the best place to study the SNPs. It has been said that one of the evolutionary history also says that some of the South Indian people which shows their genes much similar to the Australian people. Australian pygmies. What I meant to today's Australians, Australian pygmy. How? So then the theory had changed that there is a migration from the southern Indian part to peninsula to the Java, Sumatra, and the human population. Another is the theory of Nova, and all these things talks about HipMap and SNP, how it affects on medical practice, because we know particular type of movement of these people have a different type of genetic makeup, And that is what we started studying in the great detail. That is called genome-wide association. That is what we call as the genome-wide association. Now, how we are associated? It is, we are not talking about the epigenetic, or we are not talking about the racism. We are talking about particular type of the racism, particular type of diseases, particular type of, they are more prone. Like Asians staying back in India may be different, but the Asians were staying in the European countries because a change in the food habit. They are more prone for cardiac diseases. We know this by experience. Now we know that what genetic difference it makes, and that is what we call genome-wide association. And with all these things, we talk about pharmacogenomics. This is the branch which is going to trouble you throughout your life. That is called pharmacogenomics. Why am I in trouble? If you understand this, it will be a wonderful branch. You will be the best doctors. Your name will be in the topmost list. Why? Because now we know till so far. I will just give the example. We talk about drug allergies, correct? When we talk about the drug allergies, what happens? We give the drug to the patient, we see the patient, expect that no reaction will occur, but some patient comes with the reaction. You say, I have been talking to thousands of patients, no reaction came up, but you like a drug called as a simple drug, painkiller, overrun like a drug, when it was given intramuscularly or IV intravenously, there was a severe anaphylactic shocks in certain people during in the on, it was given to the thousands of patients, but suddenly it came up. Certain people died because of that. And then came that why certain people are died of this. This is a severe type, but I can say that even the iron formulation, many times you will hear that when you go in the market, then you will hear that somebody says, I this type of particular iron tablets are suitable for me. This type of is not suitable for me. Some gets constipation, some gets gastritis, and all those things. So what we do is trial and error in pharmacology. We give the drug, make a trial and error. We say titration. We talk about the antihypertensive drug. We say this type of drug is useful for them. This type of drug is not useful for this person. So what pharmacogenomics is doing? Once I know human genome project, I can do DNA mapping of that person right at the time of birth. Cost of this is going down of the DNA mapping. Probably you will come in practice that will be much cheaper, almost every, and there we know which type of enzyme in particular type of person is being produced, which can metabolize this drug faster or slower. And that will decide which type of drug is suitable for particular type of person. This itself is a big branch. So now I am going to prescribe the drug. I will have a DNA map. I will have his which drugs he is suitable more for this type of person. And I am going to prescribe the particular type of person. I will not wait for the reactions to come. And I will be more safer. And the patient will get a maximum benefit out of that. And this is a branch where the drugs can be decided beforehand, because with the help of genomics is called pharmacogenomics. That is what we call as a pharmacogenomics. And now in human genome project, when we know there's so many less gene, another thing came into the existence, and that thing is that only the 2% to 5% of our DNA can produce this much of. So what about the rest of the DNA? It was thought over, it is useless initially. It was called junk DNA. There is a book called as a junk DNA in the market. What happened? Later on, we started coming to know that, because once we start probing how it is possible that particular type of protein can be produced, of how the particular type of protein cannot be produced, or something like that, how it is expressed by environment. Like we talk about the steroid has action on the DNA, or the insulin has action on the DNA. So what it does, some things are expressed, some things are not expressed, and we started collecting this. We came to know that there is a lot of influence by this junk DNA, dormant DNA, supposed to be the dormant DNA, on the expression of genes. Like there are certain diseases where the number of repeats are more, like in teacher college disease and all those things. The number of repeats indicates that more the number of repeats, the type of a gene to be expressed has been either enhanced or either it has been inhibited, and giving rise to particular diseases. So this information about how this junk DNA affects on the expression of our genes is called a branch where this information has been collected is called Encyclopedia of DNA elements. It is also called as popularly called online you will get as ENCODE project. It is also called as the ENCODE project. Now, what is this last term? Gene editing, wherein your branch accidentally detected. That has a lot of promise, especially like in era of the COVID-19. We are all locked down. This branch has to develop, and I feel that out of my 150 students, 20, 25 students will work in this branch called gene editing, and they will be at top of the world. Why I'm talking about this? Because it was accidentally detected in 2012 altogether at a different lab in microbiology lab that certain type because we know viruses has to require host, correct? So their DNAs or RNA has to get transcribed into the host. And what has been found, and then the virus is proliferate. But what has been found in certain bacteria, these genes which has been produced by viruses has been modulated. And because they are modulated, the viruses are unable to grow in that bacteria. And that is what happened. And then the people, that microvirus identified that there is a certain type of DNA which has been edited by the bacteria so that the virus doesn't grow. And that has created, it took next 8 to 10 years to get recognized by the international world that yes, this can happen and this can be used in the humans. This can be used to cure the diseases in humans permanently, especially the genetic. It has been started. There are some limitations today, but it has been started with single gene defects. So if I can edit at the level, and we you know that we can go that during the cleavage, there's one cell divides into two into three. So I have bunch of cells which is still under my control. I know that up to 14 to 32 cell stage, every cell is totipotent. So can I do genetic editing in a take out one cell which is totipotent, make a gene editing, so the individual produced from that is free of that disease. Is it not amazing? The same thing we are talking about COVID-19. We are saying that can we make a change in our next progeny so that the viruses will not grow in our cells? It's a big challenge. And I might well, my kids will do certain research in that. Read about this called as CRISPR technology, gene editing. Okay, so this is what I am talking about the introduction to genetics. We'll be dealing with certain points of these certain diseases and related diseases in some lectures on genetics. Whenever I get time, I will be taking. I will complete astrology as well as I will be taking genetics. I'm preparing for you for near new syllabus. Thank you. Thank you very much.